Right. Good morning, all of you. What is the lecture number? Lecture number is 14. And what was the last topic? Last topic was Article 121. So I was discussing the important articles with you, right? So we write down the last article here, that is Article 122. Just to give you a revision, now get back to the class, all of you. 121 was basically what? Yeah, 121 was independence of, 121 is independence of judiciary, because the conduct of the judges cannot be inquired by the court of law unless they are being removed under a motion. Now, how to remove the judges? I hope all of you know that. How to remove the judges has been asked in prelims. It has been asked, I think 6-7 years back, 17 or 18 prelims it was asked. And the law under which we discuss the removal is what? Which law talks about removal of the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court? What is the name of that law? Yeah, very good. Judges Inquiry Act 1968. And when you revise in the end several bodies at the end of your syllabus, which is given at the end of your books, you would find several constitutional, non-constitutional bodies, and you would find their removal conditions. Many of them, for example, CAG, for example, Chief Election Commissioner, they are removed the same way a judge is removed. So that is why this removal process is very important. Is it fine? Is it fine? And then we write 122. 122 is a very interesting area. Anyone knows what is 122? Because then I'll tell you the framework there. You first write down 122, then I'll tell you what I mean. Write down the proceedings of the Parliament. The proceedings of the Parliament. Proceedings of the Parliament cannot be inquired. Proceedings of the Parliament cannot be inquired by the courts. Proceedings of the Parliament cannot be inquired by the courts. Is it fine? So now see, this is very interesting. It's like a gray area. I'll just give you the thought, and I'll not open up the details, right? So there are three things here which are interconnected. Can you tell me the three things which are interconnected with this provision 122? First is Article 122 itself, right? Which says that the proceedings of the Parliament, whatever happens inside the class, that cannot be reviewed. And whatever happens inside the class, we'll again see whatever happens inside the class is subject to my powers within the House, and in all matters connected with the House, the word of the presiding officer is the final. So from 122, I'd not say directly, from 122 to some extent, I'd say that because all the proceedings are conducted by the presiding officers, so I can say that thereby whatever decisions presiding officer takes, all of those decisions, they are final. His decisions, they are final. But there are exceptions. Whatever presiding officer rules inside the House, that is final. There are exceptions, and that exception is an exception. It is not the norm. Exception is, example of Maharashtra. Example is, yes, very good. Example is anti-defection law, where the problem is the speaker is conducting the proceedings of the House, that is okay. But when he is disqualifying a member of legislature under the anti-defection law, then he is surpassing the role which has been given to him. Then he acts like a court. You remember my second class, I had discussed with you impeachment. I had told you it's a very important provision where the speaker or the chairman, when he disqualifies a member of parliament, then he has got the powers of a court. It's a quasi-judicial power, thereby all the decisions, they are subject to judicial review. That's an exception. So in that case, exception is ADL, norm is decisions is final, and exception is ADL because in this case, it's the quasi-judicial power of the presiding officer. And what's the other end? Very good. I really appreciate that. What is this end? What is the last end that is connected with the fact that so all three of them, they are connected. Presiding officers' decisions are final because that's happening within the house. What else is connected with the proceedings within the house whereby a step is taken, then there can be no review. Yeah, that's right. So that MP saying in the parliament is under Article 105. He has got freedom of speech and expression that is much more than you and me get under 19. If I speak in the class, my 19 is subject to restrictions under Article 19 Clause 2. But if I speak the same thing inside the house, being a member of parliament, then that is not limited by 19 Clause 2. You know that? A member of parliament's speech and expression is not limited by Article 19 Clause 2 because he has got parliamentary privileges. So what I want to say is, actually what I want to convey through the diagram is, any decision of the presiding officer or any parliamentary privilege being violated and the action taken by the parliament is not inquired by the court of law, and that is why to what extent the punishment has been given by the parliament, that is something that the courts can determine. For example, giving a hate speech. For example, cash for query scam, where Mahua Moitra has been expelled because she is being accused, it's now pending, for taking cash to ask questions, and she got, expelled from the house. Now the courts are worried because if they go into the details, then they are limited first by Article 122. This limits the powers of the court, and if they step the line and they think that no, the expulsion was unconstitutional, then they are worried because there's another thing, there's parliamentary privilege which cannot be intervened because it's a separate legislature. They've got separate pillar, it's got its own powers. The privileges, they come up as a concept from the parliament. Is it fine? Just draw this diagram to get a feel. The idea is that when you think about 122, it doesn't end at 122, it goes down to the fact that that is why decisions of presiding officer, they are final, because in 2022 prelims, there came a question that when the deputy speaker acts as a speaker, his decision is final. Then you might get confused because, we all have this thing. So courts are always there, but then we need to restrict our thoughts. Courts might be there, but if it comes to the House legislature as a separate pillar, then the presiding officer conducts the proceedings. All of that is limited by Article 122. Right? So if I want to conduct any review of the proceeding, it is full stop because there is 122. That's the idea. Is it fine? Do you understand my points? Do you understand my points? So you would need to open the last side of this triangle. This is interesting. There are two Supreme Court cases which are given here. You'd read in the current affairs only, and let us wait for the expulsions proceedings being taken up again. You'd find something here from the current affairs, this dimension. Is that fine? Do you understand? Are you trying to understand my arguments? I'm not teaching this topic. I'm just giving a thought that how this will play out in the current affairs. That is the lens you'd need to put on when you are reading any such news from the current affairs. It's a very interesting area. It will come up in the newspaper till the time you appear for the mains this year. Is it fine? Yes. Yes, yes, that's the case. Right, right, right. There are two cases there. You just follow them, one line each. That is all. Can't is not cannot. Can't basically means it's an apprehension. But at the end of the day, because she has not been given sufficient opportunity by the parliamentary committee, that's also a legal question. So I am not blindly saying. That is why I wrote it's a grey area. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि कर ही नहीं सकता, कर रहा है बिल्कुल. Proceedings चल रही हैं, तो उसका decision बड़ा interesting होगा. Because जो opposite lawyer होगा वो claim करेंगे parliamentary privileges इनके पास हैं और parliamentary privileges के violation की वजह से इनको expel किया गया और जिसमें court review नहीं कर सकते, तब उसमें court का interesting decision आएगा. तो ये last side आप open up करेंगे. रामपाल case बिल्कुल सही है. ठीक है, there is a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court that will open the scope of how far the review can happen in the case of parliamentary privileges as a check on. So, is there any check on the powers of the parliament? That is what you will find out from the news, from the current affairs. So, you follow this trail. Is it fine? Is it fine? You understand now? Yes. Our final, yes. It cannot. It is final because the proceedings of the House, which cannot be reviewed under 122, they are powers of the presiding officer. But if there's an outrightly unconstitutional step, which might be unconstitutional, then how far the courts can venture deep into the powers and thereby jump the line created by 122, that is what we need to see on case-by-case basis. That is what I told you, that is precisely 30th January. Today is what? 27th. So 3 days after this, you would have a 7-judge bench starting the proceedings of the powers that for the first time post-independence. Previously, they have said no. Now, for the first time, they'll open up whether the certificate of the speaker to certify a bill as money bill is subject to judicial review or not. Now, that is an area where you'd see 122 and speaker's powers, can it be reviewed, being wonderfully overlapping. So this is very important in that case. They will start the proceedings, but what decision comes out, we don't know. Do you understand my points? Is it fine? So that is the end of the articles. Now let's come to a new page and give the heading presiding officers. Give the heading presiding officers. Now this is a very interesting area, hot shot favorite area. Simple questions will come. So we'll open up this topic in 2-3 dimensions. First, you write down the articles just for your information, but nobody will ask you. This has been given in the Constitution. Anyone knows the articles? Yeah, but there's no need to by heart. It's, if you know, that's very good, but no need to by heart. It is 89 to Article 98. We have discussed it in the Constitution. In polity, in class, I'll always call it presiding officers. Everywhere we write also presiding officers, but in the Constitution, or let's say officially, in the Constitution or officially, I call them, anyone knows what? In the Constitution or officially, we call presiding officers, we write them as officers of, yes, we write them as officers of Parliament. So in the law, like their salaries law, if you remember, Salaries and Allowances of Officers of Parliament Act was the law by which the Vice President got the salary. And you'll in the Constitution, it starts by saying Officers of Parliament, and then it writes Article 89. Is it fine? Now let's, first question is very simple. We'll start with the first dimension here. First dimension, write down who are presiding officers. who are presiding officers. First, let's talk about Lok Sabha. Who is the presiding officer of Lok Sabha? All of you know it much better than me. Yes, the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha is the Speaker. Then, what if the Speaker is not there? Yes, there has to be some arrangement because we are discussing legislature and there always needs to be a Speaker. If he is not there, we know by the name itself, we know from the newspapers, we call him as Deputy Speaker. And let's say both of them are not there, then you would not know it. Just write and we'll just open the details in this topic. Then we have panel of chairpersons. Then we have panel of chairpersons. So just to also add the sources, because we need to know the sources, these two have been discussed in the Constitution. Speaker and Deputy Speaker have been discussed in the Constitution. And panel of chairpersons, is it there in the Constitution? Have you found this term, panel of chairpersons, in the Constitution? The answer is no. This is important. Answer is no. It has been discussed in the rules of the Lok Sabha. Sources are very important. It has been discussed in the rules of the Lok Sabha. We'll see the provisions later. Let's first know the facts. Right? Then second we have Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha, tell me who's the head speaker? Yes, obviously, there is no speaker. We call that post as chairman. All of you know that the chairman is the vice president, a very popular fact. We have followed this from the US Constitution. In US, the vice president of US is automatically the chairman of the Senate, the House of Elders, Intellectual House, House of States, Federal House, whatever you want to call it. The same way in India, we borrowed the provision where the vice president automatically ends up being the chairman of the Council of States. If you don't know, then you haven't read the handout on the VP. Right, from that handout, you would need to see the questions of comparison between P and VP. Comparison of chairman and speaker now will take up in the next topic, which is more important than the first one. Do you understand my points? Right? Chairman, and then there is also deputy chairman. And if both of them are not there, both of them are, let's say, absent, then we have, write it here now, we have plus panel of vice chairpersons. Is it fine? Then we have panel of vice chairpersons, and you know the sources also by logic. Chairman and deputy chairman, they are by logic. Now you start thinking your logic also. Chairman and deputy chairman, they are the most important people in the legislature, right, in the Council of States. So because speaker and deputy speaker, they've been given in the Constitution, you have to write about these people. It's a prerequisite. They are the most important people. The same way we write here that, are you trying to understand my points? Right. So then in this case, they are also given there in the Constitution. Source will always be Constitution, but for panel of vice chairpersons, we know that the source will not be Constitution. It will be, again, because we are entering the details of the conduction of proceedings of the House. So we will definitely find it in the rules of the Rajya Sabha. That's the idea. Which is fairly understood also. These details like panel, we will not write in the Constitution. Constitution, you write the most important things for any country's legislature, or let's say judiciary, or let's say the executive. Is it fine? Now you write down a statement, then we'll compare all of these four. Write down the term deputy does not imply. The term deputy does not imply. The term deputy does not imply that the deputy speaker or deputy chairman is what? Yes, is subordinate to the speaker or the chairman, it only implies that they'll preside if the speaker or the chairman can't. They'll preside if the speaker or the chairman can't. Right? Write down, the deputies are only answerable. The deputies are only answerable to who? The deputies are only answerable to the House. Right, just a simple detail. Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairman is basically, he is who? So actually Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairman is just a member of Parliament. In fact, to now again reiterate this point, we had discussed in the last class also that all the presiding officers except the chairman, they are the members of the House. Mr. Om Birla, he walked in the Lok Sabha as a member of Parliament from a place called as Kota Bhoti in South Rajasthan. He took the oath as a member of Parliament. All the presiding officers, they enter the House as members of the legislature. They perform their functions, and then when the speaker gets elected, then he sits on the chair. Speaker and the chairman, whenever they enter the House, they will always sit on the chair, and there's only one chair. Thereby, Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairman, they'll always sit like a member of Parliament. They are members of Parliament. Every presiding officer is a member of Parliament with the exception of the chairman. It's just that when Speaker or the Chairman cannot perform the role, then the Deputy Speaker or Deputy Chairman, they take over, then they perform the proceedings, then they get all the pass by my second class. When B replaces A, then B cannot perform its task. Then B becomes A, and whatever salary, allowance, power, privilege, function is given to A, that all goes to B. Now that logic will apply here. Where I mean to say, if the speaker is there in Lok Sabha, Deputy Speaker is like a member of Parliament. Just like any member of Parliament speaks or performs a business, the same way we've got Deputy Speaker. If the Speaker cannot perform, he is not there in the House, then the chair will be occupied by Deputy Speaker. Then all the powers of Speaker, all means all. Everything that goes to the Speaker now goes to Deputy Speaker, and he cannot simultaneously perform the role of being a member of Parliament. That's the idea. Is it fine? Now let's come to a new page. I'll show you a table how we'll compare all of these four posts. So you first pay attention what we'll do. We'll compare Speaker, we'll compare Deputy Speaker, we'll compare Chairman, we'll compare Deputy Chairman over 4-5 simple questions. And you will get a question from this dimension only. First, we'll see if they are members of the respective house or not. Then second, I'd like to see if they have a separate oath for their post or not. Then, like any other constitutional post, I'm just putting it at one place. These are basic questions that you want to know for any post that you know. For example, in fact, you can do this, you can make this table for the constitutional, non-constitutional bodies also. This will really help you, because a question normally never used to come in prelims, but this time they asked for the first time. So I'd want you to make a table like this. These are basic questions, and you write all the offices: CAG, UPSC, Election Commission, CVC, NHRC, SHRC, all these given at the end, Niti Aayog and all these things, just two lines a piece you want to write for each of them. So election, then what do you want to see for the speaker? Tell me now. Election and then, very good, term I'll write in the end. Election then, yeah, election, yes, very good. Election, then you can also discuss with me removal. Then you can also discuss with me, now this is also important, vacation. We have seen that the Constitution writes at length in what circumstances the individual vacates the post. There were 5 for the president, there were 5 for the vice president, and there were how many for a member of parliament? Yes, very good. 4 plus 5. 4 circumstances given in Article 101, and 5 circumstances they were additional. The same way we'll see what leads to vacation for any of these 4, and then the last is what all of you said. The last is what? The last is, I'll write it here in the end. The last is term. Basic questions we are just putting at one place. This is important for every constitutional post. Just make this table. Take the entire page, write in horizontal mode. Should I start? First question is not even a question. First question, we have made it a question to actually repeatedly keep on telling us that the chairman of the Council of States is not a member. All the presiding officers, they are members. All means all, at center or at state. At center, you've got these 4. In the states, you've got speaker, deputy speaker in the assembly. If you know this table for the center, you know the table for the states. If you know the deputy chairman at center, then you know the deputy chairman of Legislative Council. And if you know the chairman at center, then you know or you don't know the chairman of Legislative Council. Don't know, very good. Because chairman is just like any other presiding officer. All the presiding officers, they are members, except the chairman of Council of chairman of Rajya Sabha. When I'll discuss in the end state legislature, and when you'll also revise, you'll not revise the entire states again. If you know the parliament, you know the state legislatures, we'll only revise the exceptions to the powers of the extra things which are not there for center. Like you all told me, chairman is a member in Legislative Council, but the chairman of Council of States is an outsider. So this first point is the length to open up all these points. This is the only aberration. Rest everything is very logical, simple. Is it fine? So the speaker is a member. The speaker is a member. In fact, deputy speaker is a member. Chairman is not a member. Deputy chairman is a member. As simple as that. Chairman is not a member. What about oath? In fact, this was wrongly reported by the Hindu also this time. When the 5 state assemblies, they got elected, then I remember in the state section, the Hindu reported that the speaker will take the oath in any of the 5. I don't remember the exact state, I think it was Chhattisgarh only, but that's a wrong fact. There's absolutely, that was wrong. I don't know in what context they reported. The speaker of Lok Sabha does not have oath. The speaker of deputy speaker does not have oath. The chairman of Council of States, he does not take the oath of being the chairman, and the deputy chairman also does not take the oath. So there's no oath for Mr. Birla as what? As a speaker. But he had taken an oath. Yes, that's the point. So that is what they misreported. Do you understand my point? So they misreported. Tomorrow the speaker will take the oath. There is no oath for the speaker. unless they invented a new oath in their own constitution. So you write down the speaker's oath in bracket is as MP, the deputy speaker oath. So deputy speaker as an individual takes the oath as MP. There's no oath for the post of deputy speaker. That is what I mean. Are you trying to understand my points? What about the vice president? Yeah, the chairman takes the oath, but he takes the oath of being the vice president. Now that's my point, right? Takes the oath as the vice president, and deputy chairman takes the oath as MP. That is why we are writing in bracket. In fact, election is also logical. Who will elect the speaker? Which house? Parliament? Yes, it is understood. A class representative of this batch will be elected by this batch only, no? We'll not call the other batch. So the same way, when you elect the presiding officers, all of them, they are elected by the respective houses of which they are members. So this is Lok Sabha, election by the Lok Sabha, deputy speaker, election by the Lok Sabha. What about chairman? Ex officio, very good. Which means what? So actually you are right. Is there any election for the chairman? Who elects the chairman? No one. So we'd like to first clarify here that he is elected as vice president. So there's no election for the chairman of Senate. There's no election for the chairman of Council of States. We have election for the vice president. And that individual automatically ends up to the Council of States and ends up presiding. So you write in bracket, how does the VP get elected? Now you know this. How does the VP get elected? Tell me. How does the Vice President of India, Mr. Dhankad, elected by Rajya Sabha, then Lok Sabha? Yes, he is elected by the Parliament. So we'll write LS plus RS, and then again for Deputy Chairman, he is elected by Rajya Sabha. Very simple. We are just putting it at one place. There's only one logic. All the presiding officers, they are members, except the Chairman of Council of States, who's not a member. Is it fine? Now, how to remove the speaker? This is also known to you from a different topic that was taught to you, I think, in your first class by a different teacher in polity. How do we remove all the presiding officers? Again, the exception is the chairman. He's got a separate method. And he's removed actually as the VP. You don't remove the chairman. You remove the VP. Automatically, the post of chairman gets vacated. But how do we remove all the presiding officers? That's center and state. The logic is the same. Special majority? No. What majority do we require to remove all the presiding officers, center and state? That's the only majority which is required. So to remove, so this is the place where we require that majority. संविधान में प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर्स को रिमूव करने के लिए ही उसी बहुमत का इस्तेमाल होता है और कहीं नहीं होता. वो बहुमत कौन सा है? Yeah, very good. You remember it. This is effective majority. I hope all of you remember the majority. Very important fact. Effective majority where in the parliament or in the Lok Sabha? Effective majority we'll write in the Lok Sabha. For deputy speaker, it is effective in the Lok Sabha. I'll remove majority. It's understood. I'll just write effective. What about chairman? Yes. So what majority do we require in Rajya Sabha? Simple. Normal is simple. There is nothing called as normal. Simple in Lok Sabha, but what in Rajya Sabha? Yes, effective. Now you all would want to remember that when you want to remove the vice president, so first you remove him as the vice president, but you can start it only in, yes, only the Council of States as its special power can start the process. Lok Sabha participates, but always as always as second house as compared to Rajya Sabha, but as compared to which post? As compared to the president. When you want to remove him, any of the two houses can start. When you want to remove the vice president, it has to start in Rajya Sabha. You want to remove the president, any house. Majority for the president in both the houses was 2/3 of total strength of the house. But majority that we require in the Council of States, that is effective, which has to be agreed to by the Lok Sabha, which means in the Lok Sabha you require simple majority. If you haven't revised, then it will not come to you. Is it fine? So you write down removed. Is it clear or not? Is it clear or not? So you write down first removed as VP. This is the point. Removed as VP, and then write down in bracket you require in the Rajya Sabha effective, in the Lok Sabha you require simple. And the same way we can write for the deputy chairman, the majority that you require for deputy chairman is, yes, effective in RS. Simple, same logic. Logic is the same. So we'll write effective in RS. Simple point. There is no conceptual heaviness in this table. Now this is slightly interesting. How will the speaker vacate his post? First, how will Mr. Om Birla vacate his post as the Speaker of Lok Sabha? First, he'll resign. He can resign. Every person can resign from his job. That is okay. Then second, yes, very good. The first thing that you would want to tell me that any of the 4 presiding officers, obviously except the chairman, all of them, they are members of the house. They are sitting on this chair because they became first a member. First become a member, then you get elected. That's the logic. Mr. Om Birla first entered the Lok Sabha as a member of parliament. 4 days, you'll see it this time also. 18th Lok Sabha, you would not know who's the speaker. All of them, they enter. And then ruling party decides that this will be my candidate to be the speaker. They push his name in the media. They push his name in the opposition parties because so normally it's not a rule. Normally they put up a candidate who will have all party acceptance. Normally speakers' names at center, they don't invite controversy. In the states, because everybody cannot be made a minister, so some leaders, they need to be adjusted. So we keep them happy by giving them the post of the speaker. It is 100% appeasement at states. That's also a problematic point. This post is so powerful, and at the end of the day, you've made it totally political as compared to England, asked in mains, which you'll write an answer on. I've given you in the handout. The Speaker of England, once he gets elected, then he leaves aside party affiliation, and you would find a clause in the constitution also which tells you that neutrality is expected. But in India, the speakers, they come from the party at center, and it is very unfortunate that they are not resigning, and there are several reasons because of which the speakers have invited controversy. For example, the anti-defection law you saw in case of the Assembly of Maharashtra. Then you also know that Speaker certifies the bill as money bill. Many non-money bills are being certified as money bills. And I'd say in the last, 2-3 years, the way the speakers have conducted the proceedings of the Lok Sabha, it is felt that they have favored the political party that's at center. So That's again too much to ask for in practice, but in theory, he has to remain absolutely neutral. The one who sits on the chair has to be absolutely neutral to perform his proceedings. Is it fine? So from that lens, the first thing that leads to vacation is, if not MP, Speaker is a very important post. You will feel it, you have to feel it. It's a very important post. He's the head of the legislature. Like the CJI, the president, and then the speaker. That's the idea. Second is, he can be removed also. We have seen the majority in the fourth point. And then the third is what? Yeah, this is a very popular question that used to come in the present trend, but I don't think they'll ask now. It's a very popular question that they ask you. The speaker resigns to who? Very simple question, all of you know. The speaker resigns to deputy speaker. The same way I can write for the deputy speaker also, if not MP, if second he has been removed, and third he has resigned, you know, he resigns to the speaker. And for the chairman, what's the point? For the chairman, how to remove the chairman? How does the chairman vacate? So first thing you need to tell me is he vacates as VP. And if you remember, 5 circumstances. 5 circumstances. Is it clear? 5 circumstances that lead to vacancy for the president. 5 circumstances that lead to vacancy for the vice president. 9 circumstances that lead to vacancy for the member of parliament. 3 circumstances that lead to vacancy for any of these. So actually not 3, it is 9 plus 2. I hope you appreciate that. For the speaker to vacate his post of speaker, if not MP, has got 9 circumstances. Then second is resignation, that is 10th, and third is removal. So 11 circumstances make the speaker, deputy chairman vacate their post as what? Speaker or as MP? Speaker resigns as who? Speaker resigns to who? Deputy speaker as who? As who? As MP or as speaker? Now that's the point. When Mr. Om Birla will resign, you need to ask him for what you are resigning. So he cannot resign as MP and then resign as speaker. He'd need to first resign as speaker, leave the chair, go back to his seat as MP, and then he's any other member of parliament. So when he resigns, we are discussing resignation. As the speaker, deputy speaker, or deputy chairman, if they resign, they end up being the members of the legislature. If post that he wants to resign, if Mr. Om Birla wants to resign as member of parliament, then he need to first resign as the speaker, leave the chair, deputy speaker comes and sits here, and then if as a member of parliament he wants to vacate the post, he'll resign by writing to the chair, who's now deputy speaker acting as speaker, and thereby vacate his role, vacate his post as a member of parliament. आ रहा है समझ में? तो स्पीकर अपने पद से इस्तीफा नहीं दे सकते. कौन से पद से? एक सांसद के पद से. तो पहले अगर इस्तीफा देना ही है तो पहले सभापति के पद से इस्तीफा देना पड़ेगा, वो पद रिक्त होगा, फिर वो एक सांसद बनेंगे, फिर नया सभापति आएगा और उसको वो इस्तीफा अपना एड्रेस करेंगे. वो पूछेगा whether it is voluntary and genuine. That's the point. I hope you understand my points, right? And then the last, so we'll write here also, we have forgotten this. For deputy chairman, again, it's the same. There's no need for me to add again. First is if not MP. Then second is if he is removed. And the third is if resigned to the chairman. Resign to the chairman. Is it fine? Resign to the chairman. And then comes the last point of the term. So what is the term of the speaker? Yeah, what should be the term of the speaker? Yeah, your thought is absolutely right. Your logic is absolutely right. You are saying 5 years because we have discussed this topic this way. The thought is all the presiding officers, they are members of the house except the chairman. Now we'd like to just tweak this thought. This is the second exception that you want to, not exception, second fact that does not fit in the logic. So you write down the term. I'll give you what the constitution writes and then I'll explain you. Write down the term of the speaker, write down the speaker does not vacate at dissolution of the Lok Sabha. Does not vacate at dissolution of Lok Sabha. But stays in office. But stays in office. Write down until immediately. Until immediately the first sitting. Until immediately the first sitting of what? First sitting of the newly constituted Lok Sabha. First sitting of the newly constituted Lok Sabha, which means what? What is the meaning of this phrase? First sitting of the newly constituted Lok Sabha. Okay, now listen to me carefully. All the presiding officers will repeat that statement. They are members of the house except the chairman. So you all said the MP is what is the prerequisite to be the speaker. So the term has to be 5 years. But that is not the case. All the MPs, including the speaker in Lok Sabha, should get, so speaker should get 5 years. But the constitution says that for every member of parliament, the 5-year term leads to end of the term as MP. And it's actually not 5 years. I hope you appreciate that. Is it always 5 years? Then it is what? Yeah. It is not always 5 years. It is always, some weeks, 2-3 weeks less than 5 years. For example, now this is a practical point, just get familiar. There's not much as a logic, just a practice. So first sitting of the Lok Sabha, present Lok Sabha, 17th was on 17th of June 2019. So next Lok Sabha, 18th Lok Sabha, come what may, it needs to meet before 17th of June 2024. Come what may. If it doesn't happen, then it's a violation. You are exceeding 5-year term. Thereby, elections will happen beforehand. Elections will happen in April, May. Right? Results come out. You know the PM. Right? As in, you know the PM means the PM will be taking the oath, but you also know it if that is the point. Let's say you don't know him. It's a hung house. President will invite the PM by his discretion. Then after that, usually, after the results and before the new PM is taken the oath, for 4-5 days we dissolve. So you'd see now, April-May elections will happen. In the last week of May, the president will dissolve the Lok Sabha. Do you understand my point? So we'll not wait for 16th of June. We'll dissolve. 17th Lok Sabha ends. All the MPs, they have vacated their positions. All the 543, they have vacated. The speaker is still the speaker. Mr. Om Birla, even though it's symbolic, there's no role that he'd perform. When the class is not there, what will I do in teaching the entire vacant class? But I'm still the teacher. Till the point, the next Lok Sabha meets. When the next Lok Sabha, it will meet around, let's say, 16th or 15th of June, whichever day is auspicious. I'm not familiar with the Hindu calendar. But whatever date is auspicious on that date, not auspicious date, actually I'm wrong, is the date of the oath. But it's always auspicious, whichever day the PM takes the oath, such as his charisma, he'd end up being the PM for the entire life. Once a PM, always a PM. That might be a question in the exam, but that's not the point. So he'll take the oath. He's not MP. He takes the oath. Then he decides when the first sitting has to be called. When that first sitting takes place after 2-3 weeks of taking the oath, like you saw in the 5 states, first sitting happened much late. Then all the MPs, they take the oath. But first thing is, we'll keep the pro tem speaker at this chair, and that is when the speaker, Mr. Om Birla, will vacate his post. So after dissolution in the last week of May, when there'd be no MP, he'd still be the speaker despite not being MP. That's just a fact. So don't ask me that rule is failing. It's just an exception. I told you, he'd remain the speaker for all the days till the point the new Lok Sabha, 18th Lok Sabha meets for the first time. The moment 18th Lok Sabha meets, then it might be a possibility that speaker might not be given a ticket. He might not be the member of Lok Sabha. Mrs. Sumitra Mahajan was a member for the 16th Lok Sabha. She did not contest elections. So that way, because of something like that, the constitution says till the first sitting, पहली बैठक से बिल्कुल पहले आपका कार्यकाल समाप्त होगा. पहली बैठक में प्रोटेम स्पीकर राष्ट्रपति चुनेंगे. 4-5 दिन तक प्रोटेम स्पीकर रहेगा. उसके बाद फिर चुनाव होगा. हम फिर से यहाँ आ जाएंगे. इलेक्शन ऑफ द 18th लोक सभा स्पीकर. That is how the constitution talks about the speaker's term as an exception. So there is no pause. There is no pause in the post. The post is never vacant. Unless obviously death or any of these circumstances come. Constitutionally, the speaker's post is perpetually, there's always someone to sit on the chair. Always. That's my idea. Do you understand my point? So this chair will always be occupied by someone, which is always speaker, except for few days we have pro tem speaker when the new Lok Sabha starts. Is it fine? Now your logic will apply for all other positions. For example, what is deputy speaker's post? What is deputy speaker's term? It shall be term as MP, that is 5 years. So you write down. Is it clear, the online ones? Right. So for deputy speaker, write down the term is what? 5 years. 5 years or term as MP. That's a better way to write. It can be dissolved also before 5 years, but that's okay. You understood the idea. 5 years or term as MP. Then what is the term for the chairman? 5 years or 6 years? What's the term of a vice president? 6 years, right? 6 years. All of you jump off the highest building around the class. Term of VP is how many years? 5 years or 6 years? You need to go back to class first or second, or maybe kindergarten. You need to join there. Term of Rajya Sabha MP is 6 years, but term of VP is how many? President का नाम क्या है? द्रौपदी मुर्मू. कितना कार्यकाल है? 5 साल. उपराष्ट्रपति 5 साल. क्या नाम है? जगदीप धनखड़ जी. जी भी लगाइए. और ये बताइए कि what was the source of every member of parliament in Council of States having 6-year term? Now you all got stuck here. You should by heart the facts, otherwise prelims will not qualify. I'm not threatening you, but the exam is all about facts. It should be on your tips, everything. What's the term of? The term is 6 years of the member of parliament, Council of States. What's the source of 6 years? Is it there in the constitution? What's the term? 6 years, as per I told you, it's so important. RPA 50 or 51? 51. What was there in RPA 50 then? To further confuse you, again should be on your tips. RPA 50 में क्या क्या दिया हुआ था? ये आपको मैंने कहा है, स्ट्रेट फैक्ट आएगा पार्लियामेंट से. आता है तो आता है, नहीं आता तो नहीं आता है. उसके बाद एलिमिनेशन शुरू होगा. पहले जो पक्के क्वेश्चन है वो तो करिए. एलिमिनेशन भी, कच्चे क्वेश्चन को भी एलिमिनेशन रट्टे से एलिमिनेट होगा. क्वेश्चन थोड़ी ना बोलेगा एलिमिनेट एलिमिनेट एलिमिनेट, छोड़ दे छोड़ दे छोड़ दे, आगे चल. सब रट्टे का ही गेम है. जिसने रट्टा मारा उसकी पक्का उसकी नौकरी लगेगी. यस. RPA 50 was what? Yes. No. RPA 50 gave you the fact that number one, it gave you present strength of Lok Sabha. Number two, it gave you present strength of Legislative Assembly. Number three, it gave you the method of election for the seats in the Rajya Sabha for the 3 UTs. And number four, the present strength of 6 legislative councils is also given in RPA 1950. So these facts should be on your tips. Is it fine? Is it fine? Right? And then you come to the last point. Right? Last point, you come to deputy chairman. What's his term? Six years or 5 years? Write down. Term as MP. Term as MP. That is 6 years as per RPA 51. Right? 6 years as per RPA 51. You can write what I told you so that you have it in your class notes. Write down 50 versus 51. Quickly at the side of your notes. Quickly. जल्दी जल्दी लिखिए ताकि याद रहे. ऐसी जो कंफ्यूजन्स होंगे ना, कई चीजें याद कभी नहीं रहती. जितनी बार आप याद कर ले, जितनी बार भी याद करेंगे, कुछ चीजें हमेशा याद रहेंगी. कुछ नाम याद रहेंगे, कुछ नाम याद नहीं रहेंगे आपको. तो आपको उस जो चीज आप भूलते हैं ना बहुत बार, उसको लिख लीजिए. एक पेज, जैसे प्रीलिम्स के 1-2 दिन पहले आप सब थोड़ी ना पढ़ेंगे कि पॉलिटी भी पढ़ना है, एनवायरमेंट. पॉलिटी पढ़ेंगे तो एनवायरमेंट भूल जाएंगे, एनवायरमेंट पढ़ेंगे तो साइंस एंड टेक भूल जाएंगे, साइंस एंड टेक पढ़ेंगे तो इकोनॉमिक्स भूल जाएंगे. इसलिए 1-2 दिन पढ़ के भी एग्जाम नहीं निकलता है. बेसिकली सिर्फ याद करना है. याद करने में समय लगता है, धीरे धीरे इंफॉर्मेशन आपके ब्रेन में एब्जॉर्ब होगी, पर फिर भी कुछ चीजें आप हमेशा भूलेंगे. प्रीलिम से पहले आपको वो रिवाइज करना है, सिर्फ वो 1 दिन पहले. 1 दिन पहले मतलब ये नहीं सुबह उठते ही लगे हुए हैं, उससे कुछ याद नहीं होगा. ये भी आप अगर आपने कॉलेज में कभी पढ़ा हो, क्योंकि कॉलेज में सब 1 दिन पहले ही पढ़ते हैं, तब उस स्ट्रैटेजी का फायदा होता है. इंटरव्यू में फिर भी हो सकता है क्योंकि थॉट रहता है ब्रेन में, आप अपने आंसर्स को वीव कर सकते हो क्वेश्चंस का, आपको क्या बोलना है वो भी फिक्स्ड है, उसी के बेसिस पे सवाल बनेंगे। तो वहां रिटन स्ट्रैटेजी हेल्प करती है। प्रीलिम्स में आप, मेंस में आप अगर लिख के लेके जाएंगे उससे कुछ फायदा नहीं होता। जो याद हो गया वो हो गया। अब ऐसा भी नहीं हो कि पेपर में देख के मैं भूल गया, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता। भूल गया मतलब पढ़ा ही नहीं था। सिंपल चीजें, आप एक दिन पहले नोट्स बना लीजिए हिस्ट्री में, जैसे सोशल मूवमेंट्स, रिलीजियस रिफॉर्म मूवमेंट्स, ट्राइबल मूवमेंट्स, उनके नाम, उनके ईयर। एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री में बहुत सारे टर्म्स पढ़ेंगे, मिडिवल हिस्ट्री में किंग्स की कंट्रीब्यूशन पढ़ेंगे, ये सारे। जैसे पॉलिटी में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेवलपमेंट्स 1853, 58, 1784, ये सारे लॉज। और पॉलिटी में कुछ फंडामेंटल राइट्स, डीपीएसपीज, ड्यूटीज, वो सारे टिप्स पे होने चाहिए, उनको लिखेंगे। जैसे एनवायरमेंट में टाइगर रिजर्व्स, नेशनल पार्क, वो सब टिप्स पे होने चाहिए। एलिफेंट रिजर्व्स, ज्योग्राफी में नदियां, पासेस, माउंटेन रेंजेस, नॉर्थ साउथ, अंडमान के आइलैंड्स, लक्षद्वीप के। अब लक्षद्वीप सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है, आपको पता ही है, तो उसको रट लीजिए। उसको रटेंगे तभी मजा आएगा पेपर देने में, लगेगा कि हाँ अंदर से आवाज आ जाएगी हो रहा है। क्वेश्चन देख के ही पता लग जाएगा फिर आंसर की। ऐसा भी नहीं हुआ कि बस अंदर से आवाज आई हो रहा है और बाहर आते ही आंसर की देखा तो नहीं हो रहा है, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता। वो आवाज ही गलत होती है। सिंपल रूल है एग्जाम का, इसलिए स्टार्ट रटोफाइंग। डोंट गेट मैड आफ्टर टेस्ट सीरीज। 7 बजे, 8 बजे, 9 बजे टेस्ट छोड़ दीजिए। पीवाईक्यू सामने रखिए, लेंस है वो, बस वही पूछेगा यूपीएससी, उसके अलावा पूछेगा तो ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा कि आपने टेस्ट सीरीज में किया, ओह वो क्वेश्चन मैंने पढ़ा था मुझे ही पता है, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता। That is all just, that is just recreation of facts. You are just trying to see how good you can remember, क्या भूलते हैं, and a bit of elimination technique you can see from the test series. So you keep aside your, keep PYQs, see the subject, see the things that you forget, write it right now, and every day in the morning you have a look at it. सोने से पहले रोज उस फैक्ट्स को देखिए, उससे याद रहेगा आपको चीजें। निमोनियम्स बनाइए, सब याद रहेगा, कभी नहीं भूलेंगे आप, 100 साल भी नहीं भूलेंगे अगर ऐसे याद करेंगे तो। मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है आपको? जैसे इसको लिखिए साइड में, अब ये बहुत जरूरी फैक्ट्स हैं और कुछ है ही नहीं। अब तो लॉजिक समझ में आ गया, जो एक्सेप्शंस हैं वो याद होने चाहिए। इज इट क्लियर? सो यू राइट डाउन आरपीए 50 वर्सेस 51 क्विकली एट द साइड ऑफ योर नोट्स, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। आरपीए 50, फर्स्ट PS of LA and LS. What is PS? Present strength. PS of LA, comma LS, comma what? Comma LC. Legislative Council, Legislative Assembly, लोक सभा, तीनों की ही प्रेजेंट स्ट्रेंथ आरपीए 50 में दी गई है। प्रेजेंट स्ट्रेंथ, कॉमा members, write like this, who elects the members? Before members, write down who elects the members. Before members, write down who elects, and now the entire sentence, who elects the members for the UTs? Who elects the members for the UTs? Who elects the members for the UTs in where? Rajya Sabha. Is it fine? Or then you write 51. RPA 51. Right? First is term of RSMP. Term of RSMP. Term of LCMP. Term of LCMP. LC is what? Legislative Council. And then the rest is what you will keep on writing: qualification, disqualification, vacation, many things you will write in 51. So just write this only. This is what we had done earlier. This is the cross comparison. Rest you all will see in the notes. Right? So you please work hard. I'll tell you, you would get a different high when you when you write a good exam. No, it'd be a different high. You please experience it. You'll never feel it in your lives again. I can guarantee, no matter what you become, the high of a good attempt in prelims, the high of a good mains, you'd know it that you've done very well. It will come to you. You will get that any exam in civil services, your state services, where you do well in prelims or mains, you will get that high. That is unachievable. Please work hard for that. You would yourself feel very good that I worked hard and you got the result because you did so well in the exam. This is a very good feeling. So work hard for that. Is it fine? Right. So let's now write down 2-3 points at the end of the table. Just 3-4 points write down because, okay, now this is observation. Write down first, you write and then I'll discuss. Write down as a convention. As a convention. At the end of the table, write down as a convention. As a convention, the speaker. As a convention, the speaker is from which party? From the ruling party. From the ruling party, and the deputy speaker is from the opposition. So it's a convention. Convention means it's not given anywhere. It's not there in the constitution that the speaker is from the ruling party and deputy speaker is from the opposition. And write one more point and then I'll take them together for the discussion, because this deputy speaker thing has picked up like anything. Deputy speaker's thing has picked up like anything, and it is also questioned the powers of the speaker because of the second point. So I want you to write the second point, write down now, and then I'll take it as a separate topic. Very important. This is a very interesting discussion. Second point, write down as per the rules of the Lok Sabha. As per the rules of the Lok Sabha. The date of the election of the speaker. The date of the election of the speaker is determined by the president. Determined by the president, and the date of election of deputy speaker is determined by the speaker. What is the point I'm trying to make? What is the role of the speaker in there being no deputy speaker? And there being no deputy speaker is a problem which we'd like to address. What's the point I'm trying to make? What's the point I'm trying to make? Tell me. Yes. Yeah, and what's the problem? Do we have a deputy speaker right now? Did we have a deputy speaker in the last Lok Sabha? So there's no deputy speaker for the past 10 years now. 2014, BJP had come to power for the first time. So there's no deputy speaker. How is it possible? It's a grave constitutional violation, isn't it? The second person in line who will perform the proceedings given in the constitution, that post is vacant. And I tell you something very interesting, you wrote it. It is a beautiful tradition that we started in the Lok Sabha, that we gave the opportunity to the opposition party that even their candidate in the form of getting elected as deputy speaker will get the opportunity that he'll sit and conduct the proceedings, which means that the chair will remain neutral. If the speaker or the deputy speaker is performing the function, both of them have been given an equal chance. We have given them as a convention an equal chance that they will conduct the proceedings neutrally, but unfortunately, this tradition has been broken. In the 16th Lok Sabha, that's the last Lok Sabha, the deputy speaker's position was given to one of the political parties. Anyone knows the name? AIDMK. AIDMK's member of parliament was given the post of deputy speaker, and AIDMK is a party which is in which state? Tamil Nadu. And it's an ally of BJP or Congress? Anna DMK, J. Lalita's party is an ally of BJP, but unfortunately they broke the alliance. There's a young IPS officer who resigned and he's handling the affairs of BJP. So you should work hard for the exam. The world is yours. You can do anything after you qualify the exam. You would not be a common man. That's the feel of the examination. But anyways, that's not the point. So 2-3 months back, AIDMK has broken the tie. It's not a part of NDA anymore. But AIDMK used to be historically a part of BJP, the NDA coalition. And that is why the ruling party had given the post of deputy speaker to one of the allies. And it's a very strange fact. It is a strange fact because I'll tell you the constitution says like this: the speaker and the deputy speaker shall be elected by the members of the house. So it is reading, it is looking, it is perceiving the election of deputy speaker with the speaker, which means that we need to follow up immediately the speaker's election with the deputy speaker's election. संविधान दोनों ही पदों को एक साथ एक ही पंक्ति में लिखता है. संविधान ये चाहता है, ऐसा हमें लगता है उस जैसे लिखा गया है वो प्राविधान, कि स्पीकर का चुनाव हो, उसके बाद डेप्यूटी स्पीकर का चुनाव हो. पर पिछले 4.5 साल, अब तो टर्म ही खत्म हो रहा है, डेप्यूटी स्पीकर की पोस्ट वेकेंट है और उस तिथि का निर्णय स्पीकर करते हैं. तो हम कह सकते हैं अनदर रीजन that we are raising fingers towards the post of the speaker, because the speaker is acting like one of the members of ruling party. He should have himself determined and decided the date of the election of deputy speaker, and thereby we could have had the possibility of at least having a deputy speaker. If not, we already broke the convention. We have done the wrong already. We further killed it this time by keeping the entire post as vacant. One of the reasons why we say the parliamentary forms of government's traditions or the overall working of the type of government that we have, it has declined in the recent years. For every theme which I've taken in classes, you would need to pick up 2 to 2 points a piece from the current affairs, and that's a perfect answer when you write in the mains that whether India's parliamentary form of working has improved or not. Give your recommendations. Is it fine? So when I discuss the speaker, I know his role has not been perfect. He's acted partially by certifying bills as money bills, by disqualifying wrongly under the ADL, and thirdly, by not organizing the elections for the post of deputy speaker in the 17th Lok Sabha. That is how you would make an answer on the declining traditions of the parliamentary form of government. I have not taken as a separate topic because I have got no time, but for each and every topic you need to pick up and compile the points. I'll tell you how in a bit. I try to understand my points. It came up as a question in 2021 mains as a 10 marker. It's an essay topic, but they asked a 10 marker. Do you think that the legislature holds the government responsible? क्या आपको लगता है वाकई में ही लेजिस्लेचर गवर्नमेंट को रिस्पॉन्सिबल होल्ड करता है? तो आपको सारे पॉइंट्स लिखने पड़ेंगे. कैसे एग्जीक्यूटिव मेजॉरिटी पार्टी से डिराइव होता है, कैसे स्पीकर मनी बिल्स को सर्टिफाई करके ओवर पार कर रहा है काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स को, वो सारे पॉइंट्स आपको एज अ 10 मार्कर में लिखने थे. Is it clear, all of you? Look at the PYQs for mains also and discuss with me. Is it fine? I cannot take up in the class. I've got limited time. So whatever I'm telling you, so you just know how the questions will come, that is more than enough. Then you will develop the idea. Don't worry about that. You understand my points? Is it fine? So from this area, question is only neutrality of speaker. There's no other question. The speaker, once a speaker, always a speaker, full stop. Discuss in the light of the role of the speaker in India and give your suggestions, full stop. ऐसे questions आएंगे, घुमा फिरा के बात वही पूछेगा. Speaker की neutrality, वो नए statements बनेंगे, answer same रहेगा. Is it fine? So you refer the handout. I've given you 3 points, an answer on the speaker's neutrality. Don't worry about that. Is it fine? And just one more point, you want to write, it's factual, but you still write it so that we have it. Write down to remove any of the 4 presiding officers. To remove any of the 4 presiding officers. Any of the 4 presiding officers, a prior 14-day notice. A prior 14-day notice has to be, prior 14-day notice has to be served. I have just made you write a question, will not come on these 14, 15, 16 days, UPSC will not ask you. But still you need to know to get the 100% feel. Right? Now so we are done with this table. Now there are 2 more things I'd like to discuss in a form of table only. So you come to a new page and you write in the vertical mode now. You give this heading. You give this heading. So I'll compare both of them over removal. So what I'm doing is I'm comparing removal of the speaker. This is given in Article 96. I don't want you to remember, just to tell you that my source is the Constitution, and then I'd compare removal of the speaker with the removal of the chairman, which is actually the vice president, but we write it here as chairman. This is Article 92. Yes. Then it's a big blunder. Why would Supreme Court take the responsibility of all these things? This is a matter that pertains to the legislature. And why would somebody so somebody can file a case, but Supreme Court will not intervene. It's a matter of the legislature. If the speaker does not decide the date of election, then the courts cannot direct him. He's an independent constitutional authority. So we cannot limit their powers unless he's disqualifying wrongly under the ADL, which is a high-profile constitutional provision. What is speaker violating actually? Rules of the Lok Sabha, which is subject to this class, subject to the House. So a violation of the rules of the Lok Sabha cannot be a reason for the courts to, it's too much. I'd say absolutely no, it's judicial overreach. Maharashtra case is about anti-defection law, which I am saying it's an exception. So you yourself answered your point. He is acting like a tribunal. All the decisions of the tribunals will be subject to a review before the courts. L. Chandrakumar case, 1997. You would study this case in case of tribunals. If it has been taught in judiciary, then okay. If not taught, then tribunals you would get from the yellow book, and in the mains they'll ask you questions. They've asked only on 2. They'll ask you questions. Okay, they'll ask you 2 types of questions in tribunals. One is how these tribunals, have they helped the courts or have they usurped the powers of the courts? क्या फायदा हुआ है या नुकसान हुआ है? एक तो उनकी working. दूसरा, specific tribunals like NGT, very important. Like CAT, very important. Their analysis from the articles that you find in the current affairs in the newspaper. Once or twice in a year you get that article, that's the premise. So tribunals itself are subject to judicial review before a division bench of the High Court. And then further ahead, Supreme Court. Is it fine? So you write down. So we are now, listen to me carefully, we are now comparing the removal of the speaker with the removal of the chairman. Even this is a hyper easy classification. You don't need to revise. When you revise in prelims, you do not revise it. Just see it once, it's in your heads. There's only one point that we want to again reiterate. All the presiding officers are members of the house except the chairman, who is not a member. You'd see a beautiful manifestation of that logic in this point. Is it fine? Let's write down the first clause, 96, and then we'll write 92. Write down 96. Write down, if the speaker or deputy speakers removal is under consideration, comma, the speaker or the deputy speaker cannot, very simple clause, the speaker or the deputy speaker cannot what? Cannot preside. Cannot preside. Second, the speaker shall take part in the proceedings of his removal shall he vote or not? And shall vote. And shall vote in his removal. And shall vote in his removal, but shall not vote. But shall not vote but shall not vote in case of equality of votes. Shall not vote in case of equality of votes. And then you write down the chairman when the removal of chairman or deputy chairman is under consideration. Chairman or deputy chairman is under consideration. Then they cannot preside. Then they cannot preside. They cannot preside. Second point, write down. The chairman shall take part in the proceedings of his removal Shall he vote or not? Why? But shall not vote. But shall not vote in his removal. Shall not vote in his removal. Now see, forget what is there in the constitution. It is a fairly simple and logical article. It's given in the constitution in a slightly technical manner, and the books, they slightly make it tough to by heart, to understand and by heart. But it's a very simple provision. We forget what is given there. We'll come at this point later. First question is simple. If you want to remove me as your, let's say, polity teacher, what is the first thing? What's the first thing? You want to remove any person, what's the first thing? Can I take the class? If you want to remove me, can I take the class? That is what the constitution says. If you want to remove any of the 4 presiding officers, the first thing is, he will not preside. This chair has to be vacated. If you want to remove me, I will not take the class. Where will I go? If I cannot take the class because you want to remove me or discussing my removal, where will I go? Where will I sit? How can I sit in this class? Can I sit in this class? Yes or no? Why? No, I'm not a member of this batch. I have not paid the fees. I'd be the only teacher to pay the fees as a student. No, there's no exception like this. Can I sit here? No, I cannot sit. So where will I go? I'll go outside the batch. It's not my business to sit here. When I come to the class, I'll always sit here. I am the chairman of Council of States. When the chairman of Council of States is being removed, any person you remove in world, he will not preside. I will not preside. So where will I go? Outside the class. Chairman goes outside the Council of States, but you are removing me. And you are removing me now. You are taking away my chair, my job. It's a quasi-judicial act. आपके वोट के द्वारा मेरी नौकरी चली जाएगी, चेयरमैन की नौकरी चली जाएगी काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स में. तो इसीलिए संविधान सिंपल सी बात कहता है कि उसको अपना डिफेंस पेश करने का अधिकार है. I will participate in the proceedings. Then you will all will discuss first. No, ऐसा तो ना वोट कर देंगे चलो हटाओ या नहीं हटाओ. You will discuss that. There'd be a formal discussion that will happen. I will not sit here. Somebody else will preside. Somebody needs to always sit here. Deputy chairman will come and sit here. You'd give me a chance. I'd give a defense. The chairman of Council of States gives a defense, and then he goes out and he casts his vote. You will cast the vote. And just to also tell you, chairman in a usual circumstance, anyways, as an exception, was given the power to vote. He was not a member. Who will vote in this class? Only you. Exception was me, because I was sitting on this chair, right? Because of this chair, I got the powers to vote. When you are stripping away the chair from me under my removal, automatically my powers are gone. Now let's talk about the speaker. You want to remove Mr. Om Birla, he'll not sit here. He'll leave this chair. Where will he go? He'll come to his seat. He'll come to his seat as a BJP MP, sit somewhere on the right. Now he's what? He's a member of parliament. For that entire motion of his removal, he is just like you. He's a member of parliament. The deputy speaker comes up and sits here. The speaker will speak. He will give a defense like the chairman. And if the voting happens, he will vote. Why not? You are removing him as the speaker, not as MP. He will sit and vote as MP, and that is all. The story ends. That is all. The story ends. And there was no point to write this in the constitution. It's understood. Speaker has voted, MPs have voted, all the MPs they voted. And if there's now a tie, there's equality of votes on his removal. Now, who will break the tie? Speaker's removal was being voted upon. The speaker voted as MP and there was a tie. Now, who will break that tie? Yes, Deputy Speaker, the one who sits on the chair. If you want to remove me, I will not vote. I'll go out. There's a tie in this class. The one who sits on the chair, he will automatically break the tie. The power to vote in the end is meant for the chair. जो भी इस कुर्सी पे बैठेगा वो वोट करेगा. हाँ, कब करेगा? जब बराबरी का मुकाबला होगा. इसी वजह से किताबों में ऐसा लिखा गया है, the speaker will vote at the first instance and not at the second instance. सेकेंड इंस्टांस का क्वेश्चन ही आउट ऑफ क्वेश्चन है. सेकेंड इंस्टांस तो है ही नहीं, आवश्यकता ही नहीं थी लिखने की. भाई वो वोट कर चुका है एज एमपी. ये स्वतः हमें समझ में आ रहा है कि जब बराबरी होगी, स्पीकर यहां नहीं बैठा, जो भी बैठेगा, चाहे डेप्यूटी स्पीकर हो चाहे पैनलिस्ट हो, वो व्यक्ति इस टाई को ब्रेक करेगा. दैट पर्सन हु सिटिंग ऑन दिस चेयर, दैट पर्सन विल ब्रेक द टाई. दैट इज व्हाई वी राइट लाइक दिस. ही विल वोट, but not in case of equality. In my thoughts, in a very crude way, I don't think this provision was required to be written in the Constitution. Will you all agree with me? That unnecessary. So we might get, so we by heart it like this. Chairman removes at the second instance in a regular circumstance and he doesn't vote in his removal. The speaker votes in second instance in a normal circumstance, but when he's being removed, he votes in the first instance. ये सब फालतू की बातें हैं, इसको ऐसे याद नहीं करना, इसको याद करने की जरूरत है ही नहीं. सिंपल फंडा है, जिसको आप हटाएंगे वो उस कुर्सी पे प्रिसाइड नहीं करेगा. अगर तो वो सांसद है तो कक्षा में बैठेगा, नहीं है तो बाहर जाएगा. बोलने की उसको अनुमति दी जाएगी, आप उसको हटा रहे हैं, वो अपना डिफेंस देगा. जब वोट होगा तो जो भी प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर मेंबर है, चाहे डेप्यूटी स्पीकर हो, चाहे डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन हो, चाहे स्पीकर हो, वोट करेंगे. और बराबरी की बात आई तो जो भी व्यक्ति इस कुर्सी पे बैठा है वो उस टाई को ब्रेक करेगा. सिंपल सा बात है और कुछ भी नहीं है इस आर्टिकल में. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड माय पॉइंट्स? डू यू अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक? सो यू राइट एंड फॉरगेट इट. आई होप इट कम्स टू यू. नो, डोंट रिवाइज फ्रॉम द बुक्स, जस्ट रिवाइज द वे वी डन इट. ठीक है? इज इट क्लियर ऑल ऑफ यू? यू अंडरस्टैंड माय पॉइंट्स? And then the second point we'll also write now. We'd like to see the sequence of all the presiding officers, how they preside in case of vacancy or absenteeism. So in the second point, you write, so when you make your notes of the prelims, you make like this. You will not revise, just receipt once. याद होता है, वैसे तो समझ में आ ही जाएगा, सिंपल है, छोड़ दीजिए. इसके नोट्स नहीं बनाने. नोट्स भी उसी चीज के बनाने होते हैं जो चीज आप भूलते हो. अब ये चीज आप कभी नहीं भूलेंगे. When did Mahatma Gandhi come to India? You would always remember that. When did he launch non-cooperation movement? You would always know that. When that non-cooperation movement ended, you would always know that. Ended when? 19? What is the date? Exact date. याद होनी चाहिए. अब देश का स्वतंत्रता इतने महान मूवमेंट था. 5 फरवरी 1922. कहां पे? चौरी चौरा. कौन से जिले में? गोरखपुर में. ये याद होनी चाहिए चीजें. इसको तो ना लिखेंगे. एनसीएम 1920, राउलाट एक्ट आया, डिफेंस इंडिया, ये सब याद है. वो चीज लिखिए जो भूलेंगे. जैसे जीओवाई 1935 वर्सेस जीओवाई 1919. फर्स्ट टाइम डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस कब आए, महिलाओं को आरक्षण कब मिला, फेडरेशन कितने थे, प्रोविंसेस कितने थे, कौन कौन से प्रोविंसेस थे, ये चीजें आप भूलेंगे. ऐसे नोट्स बनेंगे एग्जाम के. सबको नोट्स नहीं बनाना. प्रीएम्बल के नोट्स क्या बनाने, याद है तो याद करना ही है. सब कुछ याद हो गया होगा अब तक तो आपको. Is it fine? So in your whatever you've studied, it stays inside you. Have that faith. If you worked hard, it will never go from you. It will always remain in your lives, in your head. It's a perpetual part of your memory now. Right? Unless you format your brain, which will not happen. I hope that never happens. Is it fine? Do you understand my points? So let's go ahead and let's write the second point in this table. That's also simple. There's no need to write. Just get familiar and then you forget it. Second point, write down of comparison. Write down who presides. Who presides in case of vacancy, or who presides in case of vacancy or absenteeism. Now we'll see the entire sequence. Who presides in case of vacancy or absenteeism. We have speaker and the sequence for the Lok Sabha given in Article 95. This is 95. And we have the chairman. This is Article 91. We are just writing to know that it is there in the Constitution. There's no need to by heart these articles. Just to know that it's there in the Constitution. Should I start? So you write in the keyword format. We'll not write the entire sentence. It's very simple. If the speaker has vacancy, then who will preside? Yeah, goes without saying. Deputy Speaker. That is the way, that is why we've created him. Right? And if he also has a vacancy, then, but panel is not there in the Constitution. Write down President. Write the way I write, simple keyword format. Is it fine? You have a thought why it is given, so I'll discuss that in the end. And similarly for the second clause, the second clause that we have is, if the speaker is absent, then deputy speaker, if he is also absent, then no, then rules of Lok Sabha and if there is no as per rules of Lok Sabha, then if there's then, so then we'll say what some of you had said, then we'll say the House decides. Though it's not, there's no need to go such, there'll be always someone, but still I'll write, if there's no one, if let's say this is also having, all the members are absent, then we'll say the House determines. This is from the Constitution. We are just simplifying it. Right? Let's write the same way for the chairman. The same exact thing works out here also. So, for the chairman, you write down, if the chairman has vacancy or chairman is acting as the president, then the deputy chairman, and if he also has a vacancy, then president. Then the president. And then the second clause, chairman is absent, then we have deputy chairman. If he is also absent, then we have rules of Rajya Sabha. And if he is also absent, there's no one as per rules, then the House decides. Is it clear? Complete this discussion. What is the logic? What is the inherent logic? At one place we write the precedent, and then in the second clause we write the rules determine. So, if vacancy is permanent and you're right, absentee is temporary, so what's the correlation with this clause? Yes. And in case of vacancy, is it not cumbersome when he's deciding in case of vacancy? Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right. ऐसा क्यों है कि पहले प्रविधान में हमने राष्ट्रपति को बोला दोनों ही सदनों के लिए, और दूसरे प्रविधान में बोला कि रूल्स इसका निर्णय ले कौन पीठासीन अधिकारी बनेगा? तो कारण क्या हो सकता है, या कोई कारण नहीं है? इंटरचेंज भी कर सकते हैं हम? नहीं, obviously there has to be some reason. Every clause is thoroughly debated in the Constituent Assembly. Then we inserted that clause in the Constitution. It was a big debate. I told you, no? There's a thorough volume. When you qualify the exam, you read that Constituent Assembly debates. It's taught in Masters in Political Science. That's a very good reading. And then the authors, they have given opinions. You get it in the newspaper, in the Hindu, in the Express explained. When any article comes up in controversy, then they give you the entire background. We can take it in class, but then we take 3 years to complete the syllabus. So that is why we don't do it. But that's very interesting. That's the thought, but we don't want to go at such depth. It's taught in constitutional law. We are studying polity. But still, it's interesting. You can read it after you qualify the exam, not right now. Tell me. Yeah. Yes. What is regular? First phenomena or second? किसके होने की आशंका ज्यादा है? क्लॉज 1 या क्लॉज 2? क्लॉज 2 या क्लॉज 1? या क्लॉज 1? क्लॉज 1 तो रेयर ओकेजन है. There is no speaker. Though it has become less rare, there is surprisingly no deputy speaker right now, but we still have a speaker. If there is no speaker and deputy speaker, or there is no chairman or deputy chairman, both of them are not there, then we call the president from outside, because it's a rare occurrence. It happens rarely. I don't think it's ever happened. It would have never happened in the working till now that both the constitutional officers, they have a vacancy. So if we have a rare occurrence, let's say in future, then we call the president and we tell him that you decide. It goes without saying. President, what's the first thing in your heads? It's actually the Prime Minister. The ruling party decides who will be the presiding officer in that case, till the point any of the two, speaker or deputy speaker or chairman or deputy chairman, get elected. Second is a routine affair. If you've seen the proceedings of the House, I don't know if you've seen it or not, in Lok Sabha, I'd say it's not that Mr. Om Birla always sits, because he has to sit, but in practice, for important proceedings like no confidence motion, like adjournment motion, like censure motion, when we are discussing some like budget, these are heavy affairs. Different types of things they happen in the House, right? Let's say the first hour, question hour, that doesn't demand that level of question hour. Is what? He will say that, okay, you ask question, that member asks, and then the second person answers and he sits down. So it's not very heavy. So if the speaker is absent and deputy speaker is absent, that's a routine affair. Why would you call the president? The constitution says, okay, let's not get into it. It's too trivial. It's too detailed provisions. It's like saying that when should I take questions in the class? You decide by voting. Make your rules. You say that teacher will take the question, let's say the start of the class or at the end of the class, so that we can utilize the time to the maximum. The same way in this case, we say that rules determine who will be the presiding officer. The constitution does not want to enter into the debate. As simple as that. क्योंकि ये बहुत frequently होता है. Speaker अगर नहीं है, deputy speaker वैसे ही नहीं है, तो कोई rules बताएगा. कई बार chairman, deputy chairman, Mr. Dhankad and Mr. Harivansh from JDU, deputy chairman, he is not present. So you see someone else presiding. So you see, actually, I cannot give a number, but whenever I've seen, it's like 50-50, I'd say, at least in Lok Sabha. 50% time the speaker sits, 50% somebody from the rules sits. And that is what you'll write now as the next point. And a common point you write across. So you first write in Lok Sabha. I'll tell you how to write. You write, and then the common point we'll write later. Now you see how you'll write here. You write like this. Write down. First you write here, then we'll write here. Come to the Lok Sabha first. The same way I'm writing, you write the same way. Write down. As per the rules of the Lok Sabha, any MP from panel of what? Chairpersons. Any MP from panel of chairpersons. How many members? 10 members. Having 10 members. Presides. 10 members presides. Right? And then you come to Council of States. Rajya Sabha, you write down. So you wrote like this. The rules of the Rajya Sabha. The rules of the Rajya Sabha. The rules of the Rajya Sabha provide for. The rules of the Rajya Sabha provide for panel of vice chairpersons. Panel of vice chairpersons having 6 members, comma, any of the 6 can preside. Any of the 6 can preside. And now you write a common point across the table because it's meant for both the houses. So a common point write down. A common point write down that the speaker or the chairman the speaker or the chairman appoint the members from which party? These 10 and 6, they'll come from where? No. Now see, now you should be, now this is where elimination applies. So if you've attended the class well, then if a thing like this comes up in the question hall, you would not be able to attempt this question at first go. So then you think, that is where you think that when this topic was taught, if you've heard all the classes well, then you will never forget the classes also. I can guarantee you that also. All the 10 months of classes you will never forget. I clearly remember it. Even the jokes, I remember it. I sometimes use those jokes also, which I was taught when I was being taught. So you'll never forget it if you worked hard. So then you think about the thought. I gave you the thought that this is a neutral chair. And I castigated the fact that deputy speaker selection has not happened. And it's a convention, we give it to the opposition. So it's an extreme statement to say that all the members, they come from ruling party. It is not logically fitting in my thoughts. So it has to be from, it is definitely not ruling party. So they come from where? Yes, that's the point. That's the point. That is how you eliminate in the hall. So you need to build this story in the hall. That is what takes time. That is why it takes 2 hours. That is why people, they're not able to complete. That happens only when you've not revised your facts well. If you can reach this stage and this mental stage where you revise, you remember everything in the classes and you've by-hearted the facts, then you can take more than 120, 125. People, they score more than 130 also. Come what में जैसा मर्जी पेपर हो, कोई डिफिकल्टी हो, आते हैं वही जिन्होंने मेहनत करी है, जिनको याद है, जो अलर्ट थे कक्षा में. ठीक है, ऐसे थॉट्स बिल्ड होंगे एग्जाम में, आपको सब आएगा, आप चिंता मत करिए. Is it fine? You understand my points? So this came up in actually CDS 2 years back. So I also didn't know the answer, but then I verified. It's a too much intricate detail. UPSC will not ask you questions based on rules, even if they ask you. So you'll not start preparing the rules. अब rules पढ़ने थोड़ी ना बैठ जाएंगे. इतना level of IQ हमें चाहिए examination में. वो IQ का level भी तब आएगा जब आपने मेहनत करी है. समझ में आ रहा है मैं क्या कहना चाह रहा हूं? आप सब कुछ तैयार नहीं हो सकता, पर जो हमने पढ़ा उसी के बेसिस पे हम एलिमिनेट करेंगे. तो इसलिए लिखिए इसको. व्हाट्स द सेंटेंस? फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज इन प्रपोर्शन, फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज इन प्रपोर्शन टू देयर स्ट्रेंथ इन द हाउस. Is that fine? Do you understand my logic? So different means like, I'll tell you, for example, about 10 members that we have in panel of chairpersons. Which party has got majority in Lok Sabha? BJP. So out of 10 seats that we have given 6 to BJP, 5 to 6 to BJP. One of the panelists is from YSR Congress Party of Andhra. One I think is from JDU, and then 2-3 members left are from different fringe parties. In Council of States, we've got 6 members, but right now Mr. Dhankar has appointed 8 members. He has got a 8-member panel of vice chairpersons, which is the rules they write not more than 6. So even 6 is maximum, but because these rules are subject to the final decision of the presiding officer, he has chosen to surpass it and make it 8. But 6 or 8 is not something that I want to open for the exam. That's too much in detail. They'll not be asked. What I need to know is all of these is subject to the decisions of the presiding officer. So PT Usha, for example, is one of the 8 members right now in the Council of States who have been given the chance to preside. So when she sat here once, she was giving a rousing applause by the Council of States that what a beautiful opportunity, what a beautiful chairman demands that praise, that a nominated member of parliament, that too a sportswoman, was given a chance to preside. So that's a good thing about the working of the house that was led by the chairman, because chairman decides who will be the 6 members in the panel. The same is the power of the speaker. Again, to reiterate, within the house and in all matters connected with the house, the speaker keeps on telling this. मुझे मत बताइए क्या करना है, जो मैं कह रहा हूँ वो सही है, हमें मत बताइए. बोला था ना भी सस्पेंड हुए 140 एमपीज को सस्पेंड किया. बार बार वो बोलते हैं, कभी सुनेंगे जब फ्री होंगे, जब वैसे ही खफा होंगे अपनी जिंदगी से, तो watch the proceedings, you would be very happy. So he'd keep on telling you, sit down, don't tell me what to do. I am the presiding officer. When that remark was made by when that imitation was done by the Trinamool MPs, that's not funny. So that's disregarding the chair. So he said that you don't know how powerful I am. I can take an action against that MP, but yes, In the House, we takes what you see in the House, that is what you don't see in the rules. Rules are very stringent, just like the class. You all are meant to prepare, but you do different things. It's not so much in the 7:30 batch, in the other batches. But then the implementation is not strict. As you know, we take all these we take all of these misuses in great stride, and that is what is the remark of a progressive parliamentary form of government, that if in the parliament, if any MP does not follow the rules, you will not reprimand him कि तूने ये किया अब चल suspend. Take it easy. It's the temple of democracy. If disruption happens, let it happen. That is why speaker says बैठिए वाद विवाद करिए, मैं सबको मौका दूंगा. Suspension is a strict punishment, and suspension, by the way, is not in the hands of the presiding officer. He just names the MPs, and then the members of that house, they vote and they suspend. It's only in Lok Sabha automatic suspension of 5 days or remainder of session, whichever is lesser, can happen by the speaker's order. Even that can be revoked by the house by getting a motion, but that never happens because ruling party itself has got majority in the Lok Sabha. Is that fine? So it's a good thing that the speaker and the chairman, they don't reprimand. They have to take the misuses in a good stride. That is the way a parliamentary form of government should actually function. Do you understand my points? Should I go ahead? Just one more point I want you to write. You'd be able to attempt all the questions in the PYQs. Don't worry about this. One thing you write down as per, next point, write down as per Article 97. As per Article 97, the Parliament by law determines what? The salary of who? Yes, the salary of the officers of Parliament, because we are writing the clause. You can write presiding officers also, but we'll write officers of Parliament. And all of you know the law from the handout on the Vice President, because when you had seen the Vice President in that handout, the most interesting fact about the Vice President was that he gets the salary as the Chairman of Council of States, because he has got no role as the VP. When the VP acts as President, he takes the salary of the President. So the salary that the VP gets is actually for what? For the role as the Chairman. And that is where you found this law in the handout. In bracket, write down, therefore the Parliament has enacted. Anyone remember the name of the law? Yeah, the online ones, do you remember? No, Officers of Parliament Act. Yeah, what is the year? 1950? 3, 2, 1 or 4? 3. 51 law was for President. 52 was for Ministers. 53 was for or is for Presiding Officer. 54 was for MP. 82 was for Governor. I have not discussed that. I'll tell you that point later. The salary, the law for the salary of the Governor is Governor Salaries Law 1982. I'll discuss that with you later, just to prematurely inform you. Is it fine? All the question in prelims will come how? They'll not ask you the name of the law. They'll ask you like this: as per the Constitution, the salary of the President is this much number. This much number you don't want to know. The source is as per the Constitution. That's a wrong statement. All the salaries that you know, they are determined by the Parliament by law. It's too trivial. It's too much subject to change. So we don't write it as a clause in the Constitution. That's the thought. That's the logic to see any question that comes up on the salary. Any other question that comes on salary, that is something that you have to skip. If they ask a specific clause, allowance, or any of these things, then you would not need to know it. Leave that question. That cannot be prepared. That's my point. You understand my point? Is it fine? So in bracket write down the law is Salaries and Allowances of Officers of Parliament Act 1953. 1953, right? S and A of Officers of Parliament, because we officially call them as Officers of Parliament. That is why we write it as Officers of Parliament Act 1953. Right? So with this, we are done with all the possible PYQs and questions that will come from this topic of presiding officers. But I'd still want you to prepare 4 of more posts on your own. You'd need to read the yellow book and just do it after the class. You just need to read one line and write it in your class notes. So this is optional, but I'd still want you to do it. A question hasn't come. A question, from what I think, will not come. But still you have to prepare it for the prelims. Write down the 4 positions, the 4 posts that you have to prepare from the yellow book after the class. Write down number 1. What will be these 4 positions connected with this topic? First, write down leader of the house. Leader of the house. Second is leader of opposition. Third, chief whip. Chief whip. And then the last is Secretary General. Secretary General, in the bracket, 2 things you want to write. One line for first and 1 line for second. Write down first is source and second is functions. You'd want to know the source, you'd want to know the function, as simple as that. Is it fine? So with this, we the types of whip, no. That 1 line whip, 2 line whip, 3 line whip, no. There's no need to remember it. This will not be asked in the exam. Don't remember it. No. Just I told you in bracket also clarify source and function. 2 things you want to know for the exam. That is all. You wrote it? First, what's the source of each of these 4? What's the function? Right. So with this, we are done with the discussion that we've had on the 4 presiding officers and the panelist. Now let's come to a new page and let's start with this topic. This is very interesting. Write down sessions of Parliament. Sessions of Parliament. In fact, the session of Parliament will start on with what date? Has the government announced the dates? In the Hindu, have you read the dates? We are in the last of January only. No. What's the exact date? On 31st of January, you would see the MPs again assembling to the Parliament for which session of the year? First session of the year, which is called as budget session from the current affairs. You'd see the dates being announced. The dates haven't been announced. I've not read the newspaper for the past 6-7 days for some of my work. So I've not read it. You've not seen the dates in the newspaper? They've not been announced. They should be announced. What is the date? 31st. And the last date is what? 8th, 9th April? Okay, how do you know? You read it in the newspaper? From the website? Okay. What's the last date? First week of April should be 31st till the first week of April. Yeah. I'll discuss that in the class though. Right, don't worry. Very good. I appreciate that. So 31st of January, the budget session will start. It will end in first week of April, almost 8th, 9th April it will end. This is the most important session because you would see the most important business of the government of the day because they'll get the money approved for the future financial year. Just like you talk to your parents many times in a month and you might not take them seriously, but when you call them for money, then you bow down because you want your money. The same way the government does not want to take the legislature seriously, but when it makes that call to the parliament to take out that money for the future, for the starting financial year from 1st of April 24-25, then they take the legislature very seriously. And you would find something very interesting by the time we meet again. You would find this term interim budget. Have you found it? Has it come up in the newspapers in the past 6-7 days? Okay, then you open up that controversy. I'll open up in the class. A beautiful question came from that area in the exam 2010 prelims, 10 or 11, one of the two. So you just go back and find out what is the follow-up, what is the newspaper thing that is coming on the interim budgets. And then tell me, and then I'll open the theory in the class. Is it fine? Let's first write down sessions of parliament. Questions are very simple. Let's get familiar and then I'll discuss the type of questions that you will be asked in the exam. In Hindi we call it, yes, Satra. Budget Satra. फिर कौन सा सत्र? मानसून सत्र. फिर तीसरा विंटर तो अंग्रेजी में, हिंदी में शीतकालीन सत्र. लिखिए अपनी उत्तर पुस्तिका में. पहला पॉइंट लिखिए पहला. The Constitution does not provide the Constitution, very important fact. 2020 prelims. So we are weaving, though it is simple. That question was also simple. The Constitution does not provide number one. What? Yes, very good. Number one, the number of sessions in a year. Very important fact. This is the only important fact. Rest everything is very simple. Number of sessions in a year. Number two, what? The number of days parliament meets in a year. Very important. Very important. Number of days parliament meets in a year. Number three, what? That is given. We are discussing what is not given. Number three, maximum or minimum number of days parliament meets in a year. Parliament meets in a year. Then what does the Constitution provide? If it doesn't provide anything, what does it provide for this topic? Yes, write down. It only mentions, write down, very important. It only mentions, what is that gap called? It only mentions that the period between two sessions cannot exceed what? 6 months. So actually, I'd tell you something interesting because I raised that Constituent Assembly debates. So when we were a British under their supervision, so it used to be 1 year. Because at that point, Britishers never wanted to go to the legislature to answer the questions. So do you understand my point? In a session, what happens? Session का मतलब है क्या आप सबके लिए? Discussion किस पे discussion? AQI पे या polity PYQs पे? Discussion किस पे होती है? सरकार. Discussion का मतलब ही, session का मतलब ही क्या है? सरकार से सवाल. सत्र मतलब सरकार से सवाल. सत्र का मतलब ही, सेशन का मतलब ही यही है. The government of the day is accountable for the actions. Is that fine? If you come to the class, you'd be taking notes. If the members of parliament, they go to a session, they know that they'd be questioning the government. They just have one focus in their heads, that government has done this or that, now it needs to answer. That's the importance of a session in a very crude way. Budget session, monsoon session, special session, or winter session, any session that you have, all of them are basically areas where the members of parliament, they come well prepared and they ask the incumbent government the questions for the policies that they've taken. Last budget session, they asked questions on the Adani Hindenburg report. Monsoon session, they asked questions on what? Manipur dispute. We had the no confidence motion. Then we have the special session. The government got it, because sessions are also the moments when you get the bills passed. And the government got the Nari Shakti Vandan bill before the parliament. It called, so you were lucky that ways. You saw 4 sessions in 1 year, because normally it's 3. And then you saw the winter session, again the 3 bills being discussed and the government was put to questioning. Budget session, you'll again see it's again the very important. 1st February is interim budget. It'd be the 6th budget. Interestingly, for the government has got a term of 5 years. The Lok Sabha has a term of 5 years. And the government will interestingly get 6th budget. It already has presented 5. And that's a controversial point. We'll discuss that point in the class later. So this session is very important. You would see something very important on the 31st of January. We start the first session of the year with the most auspicious moment for a parliamentary form in England that we've borrowed from England. In the first session of the year in England, the Queen walks into the Parliament and she addresses House of Commons and House of Lords together. It's a big thing, the Queen walking. The constitutional head, yes, it's a big thing. The Queen is the Queen, she represents a monarch. No matter who you are, the Queen will always be above you. No matter who you are in their country, the same way, exact same principle is applying. The President walks, comes up to the Parliament on 31st of Jan. She'll be escorted by the PM, the Vice President, the Speaker, and the 2 Secretary Generals. They'd walk her inside. There'd be absolute decorum in the Parliament, a rare occasion when the members of the Parliament, they have to maintain pinpoint silence. They cannot speak, they cannot utter a word, because the Queen enters in England, the President enters. So this is a momentous occasion. That is how we start the discussions of the first session, the budget session. Very important. Is it fine? Is it fine? So let's write the points here just to tell you what you will see on the 31st. If you get time after the class, you watch it live. You watch it live. It's a good, you would see the, so Mrs. Murmu will come to the Parliament for the first time in the new Parliament. The joint address will happen for the first time in the Parliament. Where? Chhat pe. Because it is huge. 543 and 245 बिठाएंगे कहाँ, इतनी सीटें ही नहीं है, या हैं? कहाँ है? पिछली बिल्डिंग में जाएंगे. पिछली बिल्डिंग में एक सेंट्रल हॉल था, बहुत बड़ा हॉल. एक लोकसभा का हॉल है, एक काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स का हॉल है. आप जब आप अफसर बनेंगे तो आपका पार्लियामेंट के लिए, आप जब भारत दर्शन करेंगे, आप जाएंगे तब वहाँ अच्छी सी सेल्फी सुल्फी खिंचवाइए और पोस्ट करिए, जेलस करिए पूरे दुनिया को कि आपने पा लिया जो भी पाना था. अब हमने लोकसभा इतनी बड़ी बनाई है कि उसमें एक तो इसलिए बड़ी बनाई है बिकॉज सीटें बढ़ेंगी. सीटें बढ़ने के बाद भी हम काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स के मेंबर्स को उसी लोकसभा में हम बिठा के एड्रेस करेंगे. उसके बाद दोनों लोकसभा के मेंबर्स वही रहेंगे. काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स से गो टू द रिस्पेक्टिव हाउसेस. सो फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम यू वुड सी द जॉइंट सिटिंग, द जॉइंट एड्रेस, नॉट द जॉइंट सिटिंग, not joint sitting. I'll discuss that point later. You'll see the joint address of the president to both the houses on 31st of Jan. See how the Lok Sabha looks with the filled to the brim. It shall be almost full with seats. It's like the first class of the batch when you come to this. And then it becomes like this only. Do you understand my points? So you write down. What was the last point that you wrote? Yes, cannot exceed 6 months, in bracket write down recess. Recess cannot exceed recess cannot exceed 6 months. Recess cannot exceed 6 months. Now, there's a very interesting point we'll write in a bit. First, let's complete the facts. Write down as a convention. Write down as a convention, as a tradition, as a convention. The parliament meets quickly. The parliament meets 3 times or 3 sessions. The parliament meets in 3 sessions in a year. You write like this. The parliament meets in 3 sessions in a year. 3 sessions in a year. First, write down budget session in bracket January to April. January to April, it's the longest session. Longest session. Second is monsoon. Monsoon, July to August. July to August. And then winter. Winter is November to December. November to December, and write down shortest session. Shortest session. Now this is the fact. Now let's come to the concept. Let's define what is a session. Then I'll open this concept for your mains. Write down a session is a period or duration during which the House performs its business. The House performs its business. And what is the business of the House? Yeah, just to know, bills, motions, resolutions, and discussions. Bills, motions, resolutions, discussions, and it starts from when? From the date of summon, called someone. From the date of summon, 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 and ends when? Underline, ends when prorogued. Ends when prorogued. Ends when prorogued. Let's diagrammatically represent what we have just written here. Then I'll use that diagram to come to a point. So you draw this diagram with me. You draw at the same scale I'm drawing. Let's say this bracket represents a session. Let's say this bracket represents a session. I said that it starts from the date of summon, right? It starts from the date of summon and it ends when it is prorogued. Starts from the date of summon, it ends when it is prorogued, and this period is called as recess. This period, that is before and after the session, it is called as recess. Before session, recess, then session, then recess. Starts with the date of summon, ends when prorogued. I hope you all agree with what I've drawn. That is what we wrote. I'll just add one more fact and then you tell me what is your inference from this addition of this fact. So session, before recess, then session, it ends and then recess, starts with summon, ends with prorogue. I'd like to just add one information that you want to know who summons. Kaun bulayega? The answer I'll tell you is given in 85. It's president, not only president, it's president at such time, place, he thinks, she thinks is fit. First, at such time, place, he, she thinks is fit. That is what we write in 85. I've straight away given you 85. President will summon at such time, place, he, she thinks is fit. And then if you want to know about prorogue, the question is who prorogues? This is given in Article 85. It is again the President. Is it clear? What's the inference? Decides what? What is the inference from this diagram? Yes. Yes, which means what? Executive decides accountability of? No. It's the opposite. So how do you reconcile the opposite and what you are saying? Yes, a manifestation of that point, but what's the inference? What's the larger thought? Yes, agreed. Thereby he starts and he ends. But what's the inference? Whenever executive feels they need to pass the law, they call a session. The start and the end of a session where the legislature performs the business primarily to question the government of the day is actually in the hands of the government. The government decides when they want to start a session and be willing to give the answers for their acts in the recess. And the government decides when they want to come out of the session and thereby end or terminate or prorogue the session. Thereby, in a parliamentary form, we have got this strange feature that the executive, the ruling party, the PM and the ministers, they decide when to start and when to end the session. and it is controversial with respect to my country. It happens in England also. In England, the Prime Minister decides when he needs to call and end the session. It's become a problem in my country. Why? It's a problem in my country. It's a common fact for the parliamentary reforms. It's become a problem in my country. What is the reason? Opposition cannot call the session in England. Labour have got no power in England. Conservatives, they call and they end the session. What's the problem in my country? Specific to my country. That is why we want to open up this specific point for the civil services mains. How many days do we meet in a year? In the parliament, obviously. By what to what? Which is, who's to be blamed? The number of days that the government is actually meeting, the legislature is meeting in the session, is in the hands of the government. The constitution is just telling you one thing: the period between two sessions cannot be more than 6 months. That is all. You've got the free license. You can have 4, you can have 5, you can have 1, you can have 2. That's your call. That's your call. How many sessions you want, that's the government's call. Your is the government. But it's a strange fact that when we used to meet in 1950s, we used to meet for 120 days in a year. That is a very good number. British Parliament meets for even more. 160, 170, sometimes 200. There's no fixed rule that we have in their country. In India, we meet now just for 60 to 70 days in a year. That is why we want to regulate the powers of the government. We want to reduce the discretion of the government so that they do not call and they do not end the session as per their own will. So what do you recommend? Yes. Yes. It is in line with the parliamentary form. The problem is the number of days that you are calling in a session has reduced. That is what we are saying, no. Because it's up to the discretion of the government. So the government is misusing its discretion by reducing the number of days when it goes to the parliament and thereby answers for the actions. So problem is not with the fact that the government calls and ends. Problem is with the fact specific to my country that the number of days that we are meeting, that is getting reduced. So specific to my country, not in England, specific to my country, what's your recommendation? What do you want to recommend? Laws for what? Yes, you need to decide by some provision. The least number of days should be at least 60. कम से कम 60 दिन तो मिलना आपको लिखित में कहीं डालना पड़ेगा. कहीं लिखित में नहीं है कितने दिन बैठना है. सरकार की मर्जी है. लिखित में सिर्फ यही है कि सत्र के बीच का समय 6 महीने से ज्यादा नहीं हो सकता. एक चीज तो वो है. दूसरा आप वो कर सकते हैं जो इंग्लैंड में है. इंग्लैंड में हर साल एक एनुअल कैलेंडर ऑफ सिटिंग्स रिलीज होता है. Every member of parliament would know now in their country that we have to meet for these many number of days in a year. जैसे यूपीएससी अपना एक कैलेंडर अनाउंस करती है 1 साल पहले, तो चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए वो एग्जाम उस दिन पे ऑर्गेनाइज होगा ही होगा. सिर्फ कोविड के टाइम पे एग्जाम्स पोस्टपोन हुए थे. वो भी दलील कोर्ट में गई थी. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा, सबने लोगों ने कहा कि पैंडेमिक तक पढ़ नहीं पाए, कैसे पढ़ेंगे, डर लग रहा था. फिर भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा डर नहीं लग रहा था. 2 अक्टूबर को पेपर है, 2 या 3 को था 2020 में, तो आपको देना ही देना है. Is that fine? It got postponed when social distancing was happening, so UPSC rightly postponed it. But when there was no way out, October everybody was moving out. December में the people celebrated. Now we are free. Then the second wave came in April, May. So that's the point. Do you understand my point? So you write down the number of days, very, very important. Write down the number of days that the parliament meets in a year. The number of days that parliament meets in a year. Has reduced from 120 from 120 in bracket 1950s, 120 in 1950s through 60 to 70 presently in bracket 60 to 70 days presently. And what about your state legislatures? ज्यादा दिन मिलते हैं, कम दिन मिलते हैं? मिलते भी हैं। विधानसभा या म्यूजियम में जाइए, देखिए, सेल्फी पॉइंट बन चुका है विधानसभा। विधानसभा में मिलते हैं, मिलते होंगे, कितनी बार मिलते हैं आपको याद है? गेस करिए कितने दिन मिलते होंगे? 70 से 80, 80 से 90, 60 से 70, या फिर 50 से 60, या फिर 40 से 50, या फिर 30 से 40, या फिर 30 से 20 दिन? बताइए। बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने। गुजरात की विधानसभा पिछले वर्ष में, पिछले कैलेंडर वर्ष में मात्र 25 दिन मिली थी, क्योंकि मिलने का फायदा ही नहीं है। 170-80 सीटें तो बीजेपी की हैं, वो तो वैसे ही मिल रहे हैं, तो सदन में मिलके करना क्या है? That is the point. Now listen to me. The number of days, that is what UPSC had asked you. Do you really think that we pat our shoulders by saying that we are a parliamentary form, we are responsible? It's the biggest merit that can ever be possible in the form of merit of anything in the world. That parliamentary form is responsible, but it's subject to the fact that what's your majority, the number of days that your state legislature meet, that is very less. You go back and find out now how many days your state legislature has met. It is very less. It shall be definitely less than 50. If it is more than 60, 70, then maybe we can write as an example in the class notes. But this state met, and we got to praise that state. It has to be less than 60. And when they meet, there are frequent adjournments, very frequent adjournments in state. So state legislatures working is totally against the spirit of what we've thought in a parliamentary form of governments working. The best form of working is England. Beautiful. They've met sometimes more than 200 days in a year. Can you imagine? Even though whatever be the majority of the PM, he gets all the seats in House of Commons, still they'd be wonderful working in the British parliamentary form. So we have to emulate them. Is it fine? So you write down, in bracket, write down 20 to 30 for state legislature. You please go back and find out for your state, but it is less than 50, 60 for sure. You can write the example of your state. That's even less for a state legislature. 20 to 30 for Bihar is 21. It is even less than, though Bihar should meet, because Bihar, nobody knows who becomes the CM. Because now it's on the cards that Mr. Nitish Kumar might join. He fought the elections in Bihar with BJP. Then he left BJP and they held hands with RJD. No, RJD does not know. It's on, I don't know. I read only on the mobile phone. I don't know. He might already be the CM. There was a high tea meeting that is called by the governor, because on the Republic Day, he functions, he oversees the parade, and he calls all the ministers for a cup of tea. I don't know what they've discussed. I'm not fortunate enough to go there in the meeting. But it's yeah, CM and all the ministers they're called. But it's on the cards that now BJP and JDU again might form the government, because Mr. Elections are on the cards in Lok Sabha. They all might get their act together. So it's 21 for a state having 243 seats in the assembly, where there are three parties and there's a neck and neck fight. It's not like Gujarat. Gujarat is clearly BJP hands down majority. There are three parties, so the legislature is very important for their state. In fact, for every state. I don't know. I don't know the number of days that all the state legislatures have met. I'm not, so I don't know. UP last time I had met when that tiff had come up, I remember, between the CM and the opposition, when he said that सबको मिट्टी में मिला दूंगा. That is what I remember. So मिट्टी में किसी को मत मिलाइए, notes को याद करिए, बस छोड़ दीजिए उन सारी बातों को. बहुत लिख लिया हमने. Write down as a recommendation. As a recommendation. As a recommendation. Number one, there should be a mandatory provision. There should be a mandatory provision of at least 60 days in a year. Mandatory provision means I don't care. Get it in a law or you amend the constitution, but I want at least 60 days in a year. Mandatory provision of at least 60 days in a year. Second, write down like UK. Like UK. An annual calendar of sittings. An annual calendar of sittings. Can be. Calendar of sittings can be decided. Can be made, can be decided. Thereby reducing the discretion of the government. Right. So then in the next class, we'd start. Now listen to me carefully. In the next class, I'd complete this topic. I'll take almost 40 minutes to complete this topic. Then I'll start with bills. And then in the 16th class, we'd wind up the remaining areas of the parliament. In the next class, I might extend it for some time. Is it fine? Any doubts that you have? Okay, then have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.